And you know that I've been a Cody Bellinger supporter for a long time.
Right.
You know, I've tried to contextualize statistically some of the things that bother these analytic geeks, whatever.
Matter of fact, he might have been one of the first guys you wanted the Yankees to get.
It's funny you say that. He was, because of for a lot of reasons. He's young. He's a lefty. Obviously, he can transition to first base when Rizzo was gone after this year. And I saw the numbers, and I understood, like, once the Yankees got Verdugo and then Soto, I crossed Bellinger off my list here, and then I see the contract. I see a contract, 3 years, basically $80 million from the Chicago Cubs. He's got an opt-out after one. He's got an opt-out after two. And, I mean, I don't want to be greedy here, but Cody Bellinger is a guy, and this is not Monday morning quarterback. As Sal said, I was pushing the Bellinger train for months pertaining to the Yankees, and lesser extent the Mets as well, by the way. The fact that they weren't in on this, it bothers me.
I think no matter what, now you know we disagree on Bellinger, the player. You've been saying all along you want the Yankees to get him, the Mets should be after him, and I was saying no. But then you see that contract, and it's like, wow. I mean, if he was only going to get that, especially for the Yankees all in year, it should be a move that they would consider. Same with the Mets. But for me, I just don't like the player. So as much as the value has come down, you know, we thought he was going to get, what, 160 at least? Maybe even more at the beginning of free agency. And then you see these deals, $80 million, where an opt-out after one, minimal risk. But I just don't love Bellinger, the player, whether it is for the Yankees or the Mets, although I do think he would fit better for the Yankees just because they're closer to being a complete team, the short porch. And right, like you said, to play some first, they could use that with Rizzo being banged up and getting older. I, though, just don't love the player in Bellinger, so I can't go nuts about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go nuts, but I'm disappointed. He is a player that I've liked for a long time, but I understand that there's some numbers that people will point to and say, wow, is he worth it? Yes, he's worth it. Can you imagine in succession? Now, I know that obviously Rizzo and Stanton will be sprinkled in there if Stanton's healthy and productive, but at some point, back to back to back, Soto, Judge, Bellinger, lefty, righty, lefty. He could run. He's of the perfect age. The part of roster construction is, and this is a tough juggle because you've got to be able to project what the young kids will become, and this is where Spencer Jones becomes a piece of the puzzle. Not this year, I don't think. Maybe next year for the Yankees. He's got to get some more reps down in the minors, but boy, his skill set is incredibly tantalizing. But if you're sitting here saying, and you're a Yankee fan, or Sal, more specifically, the Yankees, why they wouldn't go after Bellinger, their only rationale could be or should be, well, we've got all intentions of bringing back Juan Soto. That's one spot in the outfield. Obviously, we have Judge. Jason Dominguez is coming back. And maybe they just don't like the player enough to justify this. But who is playing first base after this year for the Yankees? Who? They're going to bring back Giambi? Tino? Mattingly? Who?
To counter, though, that thought process, well, we're loaded anyway. Well, they traded for Verdugo. And as much as I know you and I like Verdugo.
I like Verdugo more. I know you like him. I really like him.
Right, but.
No, I like Bellinger more.
Well, that's the thing. And then it's just money, right? So they could have maybe kept some of the prospects. Kohler, I think, called us last week about this, saying the exact same thing before Bellinger signed. Hey, well, the move is to go get Bellinger and keep the prospects that you gave up for Verdugo and maybe trade for a pitcher. Who knows exactly what it would have taken to get certain guys or not. But they did need a lefty bat in the outfield because they went and got one in Verdugo. Like him as a player, and as much as I don't love Bellinger as a player, at that price for where the Yankees are at, instead of Verdugo, I mean, how could you argue that you wouldn't rather have Cody Bellinger?
You can't. I mean, that's why I'm perplexed. I was bothered when I saw the numbers. Like, if I saw, Sal, honestly, I don't know, how about 5 years?
Right.
Let's go 30 a pop, $150, just bang it up a little bit more. I mean, if I saw 5 years, like, 165. I'm not even saying this.
Wouldn't even be a conversation.
No, but part of being all in, part of chasing down the championship, part of, really maximizing. I know it's going to get tired of hearing this, but you're going to hear it a lot. Maximizing the prime years of Garrett Cole and obviously Aaron Judge, and doing enough to, persuade, in addition to the money, Juan Soto to eventually re-sign long-term. Again, the Yankees have taken a good swing this season. The Yankees are stacked up to be very good, but they didn't swing for the fences, and this is another example.
And that is a problem that I have with this team, as you know, and as we get closer and closer to actually opening day now, we're about a month away or so, their roster to me is not all-in roster. Bellinger at that price, like, even if I don't like him, and I guess the argument would be you liked him at 160, let's say, right, initially. I didn't, but at 80, Like, you're talking about $80 million
I know.
for the Mets, who I didn't want him at all. But you're telling me the Mets couldn't use his bat? The Mets couldn't use him as a DH or in the outfield for 3 years max, $80 million. And by the way, he's probably going to opt out. You get a highly motivated player because he wants to prove his worth and get that long-term deal. He's basically on the 3-year part of it is insurance. In case he has a bad year,
Sure.
then he picks up the option himself. So at worst, you're committed $80 million to a player that at best could really be an impactful bat. So I think as much as I don't like Bellinger, and I'm not going to go nuts on the Yankees for not going all in on him, I do think they missed the boat. And I think you could even say maybe the Mets missed it as well.
Well, I'm going to get back to the Mets here in a second because I don't disagree. BT and Sal, good Monday morning, everybody. Crazy sports weekend. A lot going on. We'll obviously get to it all here. Got a little something, actually something pretty big on Saquon. We'll get to Saquon and the G-Men coming up at 11, 877-337-6666. The number inside of our Town Fair Tire studio, friends at Town Fair. Remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Yeah, I mean, specific to your Mets, I mean, it's about insurance with the opt-out after the first 2 years of the 3-year deal for Bellinger. Yep, but it's also insurance in case, Pete bolts. I mean, listen, he's a first baseman. As he begins to age, and I'm not saying Met fans that you should want Bellinger in lieu of Pete. I'm not saying that. But in an optimal world, you could have had both this year. And, as we look at the prospects of the Mets, I know the pitching's going to be a disaster. And I think the only way that the New York Mets can steal some games and maybe steal a relevant season is to outslug some teams. They're not going to win 2-1. They're going to, a lot of times, they're going to have to win 5-4, 6-5, 7-4. And I think if you were to throw somebody like Bellinger in this lineup, with McNeil, who I believe will bounce back and hit 300. Lindor, who's a very good player. Pete's going to crank 45 bombs. Like, now at least, like, if we're sitting here, I'm pissed that the Yankees didn't even at least make a serious move toward Bellinger. But I can even, if I wanted to, I can make a stronger case that Met fans should be more angered than Yankee fans for not getting Bellinger.
Think about this for a second. And again, I just want to reiterate, I never loved Bellinger, but I think a part of me not loving him was knowing he's going to get a big deal.
Yes.
Cashing in off of last year. So when you see it at $80 million, max $80 million, you have to reevaluate. And the Mets needed a center fielder, so much so that they went out and got Harrison Bader. I mean, think about that. Now, I like the move at the time, thinking, okay, well, it's a fine move. I like a defensive guy, familiar with New York.
Yeah, it's your fourth outfielder.
Well, whatever. I mean, he's fine as an everyday center fielder. If you don't need offense from that position, the Mets need offense every which way they could possibly get it. Bellinger's a center fielder. You're telling me, and I know you're not, but I'm saying in general, that like for 80, what did the Mets pay Bader? Was it $13 million?
I think it's 10. 13 is Severino.
Okay, $10 million for Bader.
10.1.
All right, $20 million more per year. You're getting Cody Bellinger.
I get it. Both teams sleeping a little bit on this one here.
So it's not even 30, it's 20 more. Now, again, I don't love him, so it's hard for me to sit here and say, wow, you really missed the boat. But when you actually think logically and practically about things, Bellinger's a great value for $80 million.
He's a really good player, and the value is good. If you believe that he's beginning to revert back to his MVP form, which I do. I mean, this guy, what he separated his shoulder in the 2020 playoffs.
Think about it. Worst case scenario is that Bellinger has a bad year,
and he's got to stay.
Correct.
He wouldn't opt out at that point.
Correct.
Yep.
That's worst case scenario is that you committed $80 million and he flopped for 3 years. Best case is he goes nuts this year and opts out, and you have either a chance to bring him back or let him go somewhere else, but you get a max performance
motivated
this year from him.
I hear you. It's very perplexing. More disappointed in the Yankees not getting him. But, again, you can make the case the Mets should have been on him as well. 877-337-6666. I mean, at least for a weekend, though, it looks like the Yankees and the Mets going to be world killers here, right? Spencer Jones, 465. Juan Soto basically smacking 5 bills. I'm getting to your boys. Yeah. Alvarez hitting a home run. I mean, it was a fun baseball weekend, but this did bother me. Andrew and Keyport, BT and Sal. Andrew, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
What's going on, boys? Thanks for taking my call, BT. I'm in the same boat as you. Loved seeing some highlights. Last weekend, Soto hitting bombs, excited for the year. But I'm a little perplexed. Where would you have seen Bellinger fit in this lineup if everybody's healthy?
Well, first of all, but it's also appealing because then he transitions to first base when Rizzo's gone. Now, next year or after this year, what you do is then, there'd be several different versions of the Yankees, and this will be up to Aaron Boone to juggle, and I would imagine he could do it. But, you've got Verdugo. You've got Dominguez coming back. I know you've got Soto. You've got Grisham who could pick it out there in the outfield. I'm not saying it's easy, but do not tell me for a lefty stick in an all-in year. I mean, listen, Aaron Judge is not 25. He's not. Garrett Cole's not 25. And there's no assurance that Juan Soto is going to stay. I believe he will, but until he signs it, I don't know. So you've got to do everything possible to load up and go for it. Like, I don't know, the Dodgers. So figure it out, Yankees.
Everybody's healthy. Where do you put Bellinger if everybody's healthy? Do you have him
I just hope you figure it out.
Yeah, but they also should have gotten him instead of Verdugo. That's the other point. You're not going to get him on top of Verdugo, and I don't want to hear they were surprised that the market came down. Well, were they interested in him or not? We never heard any connection with the Yankees and Bellinger. And they could wait out Blake Snell. Everybody seems to think the Yankees are waiting out Blake Snell till they're going to get him, so why couldn't they wait out Bellinger?
Well, this is what's going to bother me now, because as the market begins to drop, and Montgomery's out there, Chapman's out there, Snell's out there, Bellinger's now off the market, as we know. What's going to happen is, if the Yankees don't put their big boy pants on and get after it, I'm going to be screaming about missing out on Blake Snell for a good deal.
Right.
So they need to preemptively address what they still need to address, and you get one chance to do it. I know that Blake Snell's not perfect. I know that Cody Bellinger's not perfect. I know. But they're good.
Are you starting to lose faith that the Yankees are going to do what you thought they were going to do?
Oh, no, the Yankees are going to be very, very good.
No, I mean as far as the
offseason
goes.
No, because no, I'm not, because you already got Soto. So because you got Soto, I know it's for a year, but there is no way, unless you're just predisposed to hate on the Yankees, that you could give them anything other than a B+ for this offseason, low end. And that includes Verdugo, who they had to get.
They talked like an A. Obviously, if they get Bellinger and Soto, how could you argue that it's anything other than an A+? I'm not saying they needed that necessarily. Would have preferred Yamamoto and Soto. That didn't happen. Burns and Soto. That didn't happen.
Not for Spencer Jones. There's no way. I know we'll get to him later. Spencer Jones is going to be an absolute superstar. I mean, just the next great Yankee is on the scene.
Spencer Jones Moss.
Yeah.
That's what I'm calling him, dude.
Are you really trying to say you want more Spencer Jones?
No,
or they're likening to Kevin Moss. Kyle's in Eatontown. Kyle, BT and Sal, what's happening, buddy? How are you? Kyle.
What's up, fellas? How we doing this morning?
Okay, what's going on?
You guys just brought up the name that I wanted to talk about. You guys see that bomb that boy hit 470 feet?
Oh yeah.
Yes, and I think actually I just saw a tweet. Actually, there's going to be a Yankeeography on Spencer Jones coming out next week ahead of retiring his number in Monument Park at the end of the year.
Hey, Kyle, you know what that's called, Kyle? You know what that's called? That's called a little haterade on a Monday morning. That's haterade. Haterade. You know what's crazy?
I think they made the right move passing on Bellinger. I think they like what they have in Dominguez and potentially Spencer Jones next year. They got to attack the other side of the ball. We got to get another arm. I don't feel comfortable about Rodon. That wasn't a strong performance last year. I'm hoping he bounces back,
yep.
But the pitching is what's going to be the question mark this year. How are we going to hold up? We got the ace, but who's coming in behind him? But I like the team. I like the starting nine. I like the bench players. I like the role players. Hopefully some of these guys in AA and AAA, continue to roll out and continue to hit like they've been hitting.
And then obviously throw Volpe in and, see what Austin Wells does. Yeah, no, I really do like the composition of this team. I admit, I happen to be a very big Bellinger fan. This was not... you might take it this way, and that's fine. It's your prerogative, but it's not like I just rolled out of bed today and I wanted to be negative for a reason. I've been lauding Bellinger for months. And, I pointed to some stats. I won't get into them now because it's too many stats make it boring radio. I get that. But there's a lot of evidence that, those years where he was down is more the aberration than the trend that he's going to follow. So I'm a Bellinger guy, but I got to get something on Spencer Jones here. And I'm so happy it happened because you thought I was nuts for wanting to hold on to Spencer Jones and being okay with the Yankees not giving him up in the Burns deal. So, all right, I listen, trust me, I'm well aware that in February, pitchers are not exactly full throttle. Neither are hitters, to be fair. Pitchers are always ahead of hitters at this point. So, but they're not diving too deep into their explosive secondary stuff. They're just kind of easing into things. 465 feet is still 465 feet. But that's not what excites me the most about Spencer Jones. Now, if I got on the air today and I was like, oh, who's this Spencer Jones guy? Wow, what an amazing. He's the next great Yankee. I've been talking about him for over a month. You know that, Sal.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I didn't even know it was this good, one aspect of his game, he got timed going from home to first 11.1 seconds, which would be the third highest in baseball. He's 6'5", so he runs like the wind, and he basically hit a 500-foot home run. He's coming.
Dude.
Dude, what?
Come on.
Come on, what?
Come on.
Dude.
No, you, dude.
Yeah, what are we in California? Enough with the dudes here. I mean, we can say it once in a while. That's a little heavy on the dudes. What?
He hasn't done anything.
Oh, now you're hating. Now you're
I'm not hating. He hit a 470-foot home run in spring training. What do you want? A medal?
No. I want you to acknowledge that this kid's coming. I mean,
where? I've heard the same thing about all these guys. Jesus Montero is supposed to be the next Mike
forget
Piazza.
about Montero.
Yeah, now forget about him, and you'll be saying the same thing about Spencer Jones-Moss in another month or so. I mean, my goodness, come on, BT. Now the Yankee season has come down to Spencer Jones.
No, I don't even think he's on the team this year.
But
what I'm saying
why are we
is,
talking about him? The Yankees should be going to win a World Series. Spencer Jones is nowhere in the plans.
what I'm saying is the Yankees pursue a World Series this year because I have been so critical of Cashman, right? The fact that they had the foresight to ignore, honestly, Sal, and you might disagree, but I truly believe this, to ignore the dissatisfaction in certain areas. Oh, you didn't go all in. You did this, but you didn't go all in. World Series or bust. The fact that they didn't flinch. I like Corbin Burns. We're going to love Spencer Jones. So I can't wait to say it.
You
I
don't
can't wait
know
to say
anything about what he's going to do in the big
but
leagues.
You keep yes, that part's true.
I don't. That's the part. I don't give a crap what he does in the minors or spring training. It means nothing.
Well, then, so why did we wait? That's
there were certain scouts.
Sal,
that said,
hold on, wait a second.
There were certain scouts that said Aaron Judge wasn't going to make it.
Okay, that's fine. I get it. Scouting is a flip of a coin. So minor league production means nothing. If that's the case, why were you and Evan and all the other Mets fans here going bonkers every time SNY showed a little 12-second blurb of player X hitting a home run up at Syracuse?
I wasn't.
All you guys went nuts about that.
Me.
Now it doesn't matter.
Not me. I don't care about that stuff. I care about what happens in the big leagues.
I do.
I cover the big leagues, not the minor leagues, and I've been around long enough to know that all these top prospects, they barely ever pan out. I shouldn't say all of them, obviously, but all of them get so hyped that it's very few who actually live up to the hype.
Listen, the Yankees have been known for holding on to their prospects too long. I'm going to give you that. Overhyping their prospects, no doubt.
Right.
Drafting and developing very poorly.
Right, Greg Bird's the word. How'd that work out?
Not well.
Yeah.
I mean, we can live in the past. We can push this forward.
Do you want to start going over all the? I mean, I'll go back to Brian Taylor, who was supposed to be.
Come on, stop, Brian. You know what? Do you know what happened to Brian Taylor?
What?
Do you know why Brian Taylor flamed out?
The accident.
He was the former first overall pick in 90. 90 or 90, I think it was 91. 90 or 91. Lefty from South Carolina got into a fight defending his cousin, which we would all do. And he got thrown on his shoulder, and he went from 99 miles per hour to 87.
What's the excuse with the Kraken? And
Gary.
And Gary Sanchez, not only did he flame out miserably, and Cashman stuck with him for years, even after we said he's not going to be the catcher, he came up and actually did it at the major league level, went on a tear, a historic tear, Pujols, Babe Ruth type tear when he first came up.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this today?
Because it's the truth.
I mean,
Spencer Jones, 470 feet. Oh, yeah, who cares?
But it's not the total truth. It is definitely part of the truth, but it's not the truth moving forward. You've heard of Aaron Judge. You've heard of Volpe.
Yeah.
Spencer Jones.
Yeah, okay.
Get ready.
Okay.
Get ready.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know between Dominguez, Volpe,
did Dominguez not
Judge,
look amazing?
Spencer Jones,
no, but there is something.
the Yankees. I mean, geez, we're in the midst of the next dynasty.
There is something.
Minor leaguers.
There is something to be said for a correction or a recalibration in how you handle prospects. Like,
right.
I'm not here to debate and relitigate all these other stiffs that never made it. You're not wrong.
Right.
But the new trends are telling us it's changing, and eventually we'll see if it does.
Spencer Jones-Moss.
Such a jerk.
Yeah. Dude, I'm riding that one. And prove me wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll give it time.
Yep.
We will. 877. But that's not even the lead. I'm just bothered by Bellinger. I really am. And listen, maybe the reason they didn't get Bellinger is because of Spencer Jones, part of it.